Welcome to the Blog on the Net Football Podcast. It's time to review England against Argentina in the semi-final. Oh, am I hungover? I have a World Cup hangover and I have the more conventional hangover. I had a great evening. I went to a fan park for the fans event that they put on. Really good. Great atmosphere, really well organised, good security. Yeah, it was a really good time. We had a lovely balcony, great view of the screen. Can't speak highly enough of it, but not the result. And certainly woke up with a sore head for more than one reason this morning. Did see some weird stuff at the fan park. Obviously, you see a lot of shirts, England shirts. Great to see a mixture. I was in my England-Argentina 02 number. I saw someone in the 2026 England World Cup home shirt with Euro 2024 patches on them. Very strange. But I also saw a Euro 2024 home shirt with the 2026 World Cup patches on. The other way around. They weren't together, these people. It's not like they got their patches mixed up when they were printing these. Completely independent. Very strange. Why? It's just kit crimes. Really, why? Why? Yeah, I don't understand. The other thing I saw was an Arsenal home shirt at a fan park. Why do you lot do this? Why? Let's go through it. Let's talk about it. Let's start with the team selection. Morgan Rogers playing wide right was a surprise. And the back four being altered again. We have not kept the same back four for any two consecutive games in the tournament. Really curious as to why we did that. I don't think it was had much bearing on the outcome or anything like that. We swapped and changed and had plenty of time to make adjustments, but interesting nonetheless, especially John Stones sort of missing kind of the middle of this tournament and coming back into the team. England go after Argentina at the first whistle. They kick off and we get in their half, and that really, I feel, should have been the blueprint for what we did throughout the game. The first half was just managed. Nothing really happened. It felt like half-time was, we're just going to play another 45 minutes here and almost start again. Little momentum for either team. Little chances on goal. There were 3 first-half shots in total. John Stones had that header from a corner, and Argentina had 2 efforts. Messi had one blocked, and then immediately after, Enzo Fernandez shot wide. At that point, Argentina had 55% possession, and as I said, not a lot happened. One incident from the very early stages, however, Enzo Fernandez goes through the back of Elliot Anderson. It's a retaliation tackle. There's a little bit of a coming together between Anderson and I think Messi 10 seconds prior. Referee gives nothing. Anderson turns away with the ball and Enzo goes after him. He goes through the back of him and then he smashes him in the back of the head with his arm. Now, the referee gives a foul, and I think if the referee had given a yellow card for that, then you can say fair enough, he's seen everything and the VAR probably don't need to intervene. The fact that he's not given any card, and when you see an alternative angle, the referee's view is actually blocked from what happens. He sees that Fernandez goes through the back of Anderson, fine. I don't think he sees the whole thing, and I don't think he sees the use of the arm. Now, cast your mind back to the first game of the tournament, which, feels like 6 months ago now, but Thembazwane for South Africa against Mexico, towards the end of that game, does something very, very similar. Uses the forearm, or uses sort of almost the wrist, to the back of the Mexico player's head, and he gets sent off. It's a VAR intervention, and he's red carded. This would have affected the game. And in the 3rd minute, you're not expecting a referee to intervene and maybe do this. It's that sort of part of the game where you maybe get a free one. But I feel like that's a very old-fashioned and outdated viewpoint. And really, I think VAR should have intervened. I'll leave it there. I don't think it's worth harping on about and getting upset over. They're lucky, Argentina. They're lucky. But how many times have I said that in this tournament? Shearer at this point on commentary says because there's a bit of a coming together after that incident. He says there's a little bit of argy-bargy going on. Very good, Alan. Argentina start the second half the brighter. We do press really nicely and force Argentina long, but we don't sort of deal with the long ball. And Argentina have a couple of cracks here. Pickford makes a reasonably smart save to his near post from the right-hand side off Alvarez, and then he picks up a loose second and has another go and fires it just wide. But there's warning signs there. But we score shortly after. We score after 55 minutes, and our goal is very, very simple. Kane picks up the ball deep, and he passes forward. He goes into the channel for Rodgers, and Argentina don't deal with our long ball. Martinez tries to cut it out and is unsuccessful. Rice picks up the loose ball, gives it out to Rodgers, and he's got a lot of time to pick his point and pick his cross. It's a good ball in. As I said, he's got time to do it. Good run from Rodgers. It's a smart finish into the bottom corner. He's got to get his leg up and steer it. He does really well. And yeah, it's a good finish, and it's exactly what we wanted. We've hit them on the break. We've managed the game really, really well, reduced them to very, very little on our goal. And notably at this point, Shearer praises Tuchel's tactics in terms of picking Rodgers, choosing our moments on the break, and it working. And we really should have built from there and gone from there. It's within a few minutes that Guy Mowbray praises Spence for the tackle of the tournament. He comes across and stops Simeone as he gets into the box. The fan park erupted. You see the players on the pitch celebrating, high-fiving, and it was celebrated where I was as good as a goal. There was huge cheers. It was a good moment. It felt like, when you can stop a good moment like that and you're 1-0 up, then yeah, you hope you're in the ascendancy and you can go from there. And we just didn't. Then followed the big warning sign where Nico Gonzalez, who came on, has that good header. Messi puts a good ball into the box, and it's down into sort of towards the bottom corner, not quite in the bottom corner. Pickford made a really smart stop, pushes it to safety, and that's when he gestures for the water break, and it was due that, but it was one of those sort of moments where you could see the England players wanted the break, and we should have used that moment. We should have really... We've seen how much hydration breaks have mattered for momentum in this tournament. We should have used that to regroup and really think about what we were doing now, because there were chances starting to come for them and certainly gaining territory. As I mentioned, Argentina had 55% possession in the first half, and that was now starting to build. We'll come on to that shortly a little further. Konsa comes on for Gordon as we restart from the break, and we go into a 5-3-2. So that gives us James, Konsa, Stones, Gahey and Spence in the 5. Rodgers, Anderson, Rice, and then Kane and Bellingham as a sort of a front two with Bellingham sort of sitting off. So a 5-3-2, 5-3-1-1. We're now allowing them to have width. And this was something that I spoke of before the game that England should take advantage of in terms of ourselves. Argentina don't play with lots of width. In the early stages of the tournament, they played in a flat 4-4-2. In the knockout stages, they've gone for like a 4-4-2 diamond. And they don't play with huge width. They have a front two. Messi plays off the front and moves to the right. But he doesn't do any defending. We know this. And England should have still been using their width. Now, Tuchel has spoken after the game about the things he thinks went wrong. And we could see him on the touchline trying to urge them forward. That 5, with James and Spence as fullbacks, can work as wing-backs. It can be 3 centre-backs and 2 wing-backs pushed on. So whether we've set out to sit in a low block with that long to go, there were now 20 minutes plus stoppages to go, whether we've really set out to do that, or whether we've said, look, let's try and get after him still. Let's try and get him on the break. And just have 3 centre-backs. But the players themselves have set off. That's unclear. We're not going to know that unless someone comes out. And it's very unlikely that's going to happen. So we can only deduce from what we see. It looks tactically that that's how we set up. But that is easy to say when you see everyone sat so deep. It's shortly after this that McAllister heads off the inside of the post. It's a free header from a De Paul cross. The cross is easy. There's no one near McAllister when it comes in, and he should score. Quite simply, that should be the equaliser there. They make 3 changes, Argentina. They're like for like. So De Paul comes on for Simeone. So this is just before this cross. Montiel comes on for Milena. Otamendi comes on for Lisandro Martinez. Like for like. Give them some energy and keep doing what they're doing. Lautaro Martinez comes on for Tagliafico at left back. So a more attacking change shortly after this. And then a minute later, we bring on Dan Burn for Reece James. Konsa then goes to right back, and O'Reilly comes on for Rice. We drop Bellingham in, and now we are in a 5-4-1. And we've just got so many defenders on the pitch at this point. And we're looking to do the Mexico thing, and the thing we kind of did against Norway. We are just trying to sit in now. It is as it appears. We've got Nico O'Reilly there in a sort of a midfield position to help break, but being clever after the fact, it did look like we would have or could have needed a Saka or a Rashford to help break out of those positions more smartly, but we didn't. 85 minutes. Argentina play a short corner. Only Spence goes out to this. They go out, or they come back in, I should say. Then they go back out to Messi, who starts to dribble towards the box, and we're still just camped inside our own box. They transfer the ball to the edge to Enzo Fernandez. We're not fast enough to get out. He has the free shot. It should be blocked. It's a smart hit. He thunders it past Pickford. I've seen some suggestions he should do better. It's a bit of a crowd scene in front of him. It's well struck. It's not in the corner. What I would say is Pickford is slightly to his own left. He's not centrally, but the ball has been transferred, so you'd expect him to turn from his near post. But maybe he should position himself slightly better. It is well hit, and I think it really should be stopped at source more than anything else. But we're miles off it, and we continue to be. And just before they scored the winner in 90+2, McAllister hits the post again. He received it off the left this time, turns inside, goes for that right-hand post, and we're not closing down again. We are sat off, and somehow a shot from 20 yards, we've got no one near him because we're sat so deep. I just refuse to accept that that's how we would have wanted to set up, and that's what Tuchel's asking him to. We might have got things tactically wrong, but there's no way that's what we're supposed to be doing. It's at this point that they score immediately after it. They collect the second ball. Messi collects the second ball. Spence toes the ball away. And there's a couple of angles here where it looks like Messi, I'll say stamps on his foot, catches Spence's foot. I'm not suggesting he goes for a stamp and it's assault. But it's probably a foul. Spence comes away and he sort of hops on one foot for a minute and then he tries to get out to Messi, and I think he's too honest. I think he needs to stay down, and given we don't stop the cross anyway, he may as well have stayed down. Him and Nico O'Reilly go out. Messi goes down the right hand side on his outside. Neither stop the cross. It's poor. He dinks a nice cross in. It's got good weight on it. It's positioned very, very well. But Lautaro Martinez barely has anything to do. He doesn't move. He doesn't make a good movement. He stays still in the middle of the or towards the back post, but he's positioned perfectly for himself, but doesn't have to do a lot. John Stones doesn't see him. I don't know. Is he napping? Does he know he's there? Should Konsa give him a shout? He's got someone on the outside of him. He can see the whole thing. I don't know. It's dinked. It's a good finish. I do think Spence should probably go down and make more of it, because I don't even know that it was, particularly looked at the time. It's so disappointing. It was such a gut punch. I just couldn't believe that we'd allowed the lead and the game to be squandered in such a way. And we're now chasing our own tails now. It was Ivan Toney, Marcus Rashford come on for John Stones and Djed Spence at 90+6. It's too late. Toney must be thinking, what? I've just been watching this whole thing and only now you bring me on in desperation. Similar thing happened in the Euros against Slovakia, actually. And he did make the impact and We came back into it not to be here. We didn't have another chance, and we only had 5 shots all game. I'll come on to that more shortly in terms of data. It was just a real feeble effort towards the end. And the scenes afterwards weren't very pretty either. The banner saying the Falklands are Argentine, very disappointing to see their players hold it up. Not just because it's political and you shouldn't bring that in, but it's also factually inaccurate. So it's disappointing from that point of view as well. Barco runs onto the pitch and celebrates the second goal, and then he looks like he says something to Jude Bellingham afterwards. Bellingham gets upset, runs over, smacks him on the back of the head, and Bellingham can probably expect a suspension for that. I don't think the officials saw it. I think if they did, they're probably giving him a red card even after the whistle. Look, Argentina wanted to stop us in this game, and they managed it. First half, perfect for them. We were probably happy to hit the reset button to go into the second half and go and do our thing. Both teams were probably okay with it, but Argentina, no question, were more than happy to stifle and stop us. Talked about it with the Enzo challenging that 3rd minute. There was a lot of that in the first half, just stopping us breaking. And yeah, they managed it. Elliot Anderson, Jude Bellingham picked up the most fouled players in the game, 4 each. And Giuliano Simeone was brought into the team for a reason. He committed 5 fouls in the game. No yellows. You know, we had problems tactically. As I said, I think the execution was a bigger problem. I don't believe you're supposed to sit in that deep. You're supposed to be so passive in letting in crosses. I mean, that is a word Tuchel used post-game. He said, we got too passive. We could not turn the ball possession around, and we conceded so many crosses and so many chances. Very simple. It really came down to that. I do think that some of the changes were negative, and I do think the players acted negatively. Argentina was scared of us when we ran at them. Our goal, as mentioned, was so simple. It's a good pass forward, but it's certainly not a perfect one, and it's certainly not one that even reaches its destination correctly. But we pick up the second ball and we go at them, and we needed to do more of that. I wonder whether taking Kane off at 1-0 would have been smart. Did he look leggy? Was he really having a good impact beyond that? Could we have used a target man like Tony to hit earlier? Maybe. As I said, let's not be smart after the fact, but it did look like we needed something different, and we weren't trying anything different. We were hoping the tactic against Mexico and against Norway was going to work, and Argentina, for as much as they go around kicking you and play the game and are very smart, they've got some brilliant players, and they took advantage of that in the end. Quite simple. England averaged 12% possession between the 55th minute and the 92nd minute. That's between Gordon scoring and Lautaro Martinez scoring. 12% possession is just simply not good enough. I think we completed like 3 passes in that phase, and 2 of those were back to Pickford. Really just damning statistic, just really bad. Only 7 times at this World Cup have a team managed a worse than England's 5 shots in this game. Amongst those, Qatar, Tunisia, Ghana, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Uzbekistan and Iraq. Yeah, terrible. In some of those latter occasions where teams also manage 5 shots, these are in the knockout stages. So Japan could only manage 5 shots against Brazil, Austria against Spain, both in the last 32. Paraguay against France, again, showed no ambition. Egypt against Argentina. Morocco against Canada, funnily enough, in a game they won 3-0. Only had 5 shots. But Morocco came unstuck against France, also 5 shots, and lost that one comfortably. Belgium against Spain was second best. Occasions where they were all second best. England against Argentina, also 5 shots, second best. In the knockout stages, only Paraguay have done worse than our 7 touches inside the box against Argentina. Paraguay with 4 touches inside the box against France in that game that they lost 1-0, of course. Yeah, just again, not being on the front foot enough, not trying to hurt Argentina, being fearful of them when they definitely feared us more than we did them, or should have done them. England have been eliminated every time they faced a top 10 nation or ranked nation by the FIFA World Rankings in the knockout stages of a World Cup since 1998. Every time. 7 out of 7. So Argentina, this World Cup. France 22, Croatia 18, Germany in 2010, Portugal 06, Brazil 02, and finally, to bookend it, Argentina 1998. You know, you're getting into the business end of tournaments, you're going to face quality and you might expect to be eliminated, but every single time is really disappointing. Look, okay, what happened in 1998 has no bearing on what happened here, but proper British English mentality, perhaps, certainly in the way that we approached the game in the second half, and you know, that culture continues. 2 occasions in the 21st century where the team scoring first in a World Cup semi-final did not go on to reach the final. 2026 and 2018, both England. Scored first, didn't go through. It's the only 2 occasions where it happened. Yeah, really upsetting. And Argentina, on the other hand, have won 6 out of 6 World Cup semi-finals that they have ever appeared in. So England, of course. Croatia in 2022. They drew with the Netherlands in 0-0 and went through on penalties in 2014. Same with Italy in 1990. They beat Belgium in 86 2-0. And they beat the USA 6-1 in 1930. The 1978 tournament had a second group stage, didn't have a semi-final, of course. Argentina went on to win that tournament. 6 out of 6, they get to semi-finals and they go through. And Argentina will face Spain at the World Cup for the first time since 1966 in any match. So I'll cover that down the line. I won't look into that too much now, but yeah, it should be... I was going to say it should be a good game. It probably won't actually. It'll probably be shit. But I'll cover that at some other point. Just, yep, so deflated. It felt different. You can say as much as you want, you should expect this with England. They always let us down. That's, you know, sort of true. I'm actually used to getting to finals, in actual fact. You know, we've become a team that does reach those last stages. You know, since 2018, we hit that one, reached the Euro 21 final. Okay, disappointed in Qatar quarterfinals, but we went on and got to the final of Euro 2024. Semi-finals of this, we're there. We are so close. And look, ultimately, it's fine margins, and we've gone out narrowly, so narrowly, to the world champions. There should be no shame in it, but it feels like a real lost opportunity because this is a very, very good and strong group of players. And I was worried we were going to run out of steam. I talked about it on the last pod. Maybe we did run out of steam. Maybe that was part of our issue. I don't know. This was the 7th game. Of course, we've added one with this tournament. And I think we had options there on the bench that, you know, that shouldn't be the case. So I can't really say that's an excuse. But yeah, so disappointed, and yeah, we go again, I guess. I will watch that final with you know, interest but bitterness, because I feel we should have been in it. We were so close. Nothing else to say really. I'll cover the France and Spain game next. Okay, so the other semi-final the night before, France against Spain. And look, if you watched my previous podcast, this went as expected. I hate to say it. Well, I hate to say it. I did call it. I don't mind saying it, actually. Spain controlled the game. I expected that. I'd mentioned early in the tournament, or earlier, that I think when France get up against a team that controls games and has a more mobile midfield, there's going to be problems. I talked about France's running stats. I talked about the fact that Deschamps is a manager that sets up nicely defensively with a back 6 and 7, and he allows those front 4 players to do as they see it on the fly. And that can work, that can get you so far. But Spain don't do it like that. They are organised front to back and they play more like a club team. We heard that a lot at the last Euros, and it's very, very true. They're very well drilled, and Luis de la Fuente uses the players that he feels he can trust and can use. There are, at times, players in their team that you think, is he the best player in that position? Alex Baina, perhaps? Good player, very good player. Dani Olmo, very good player. But could they play more exciting players in their 11? Yeah, probably. But they're all very well drilled, and they went after France. They overran them, and they controlled the game, as they always do. They give up so few chances, Spain, and especially good chances. There was a moment in the very early stages, it was in the first half, where there was a turnover. France tried to break. They played the ball into Mbappe, into the final third. It's a 2v1. He's 1v1 with, I think it's Cucurella, and no, it's Laporte, and Cucurella is out to left back, and he's quite some distance away. And you think, Mbappe's in here, he can run at him. He receives the ball, and on his second touch, there's 3 Spain players around him. He is swarmed. Cucurella's tucked in. There's another one on the cover. I think it was Kabasi, and there's 3 of them just around him. And he's got nowhere to go, and he has to turn back, and he plays back into midfield, and Spain reset. And it is just a perfect example of what Spain do really, really well, even when they do look a little bit stretched. Possession was pretty even. Spain, you feel, dominate possession, but they only had 51% of the ball. It was 10 shots each. It was 2 shots for Spain on target to France's 3. It was 5 shots inside the box for Spain to France's 4. But crucially, 3-0 on big chances to Spain. Of course, one of those was the penalty. Saliba getting injured shortly after the goal, it's not helpful, but I don't think it alters too much at centre-back. Clearly, it's not something that's ideal, but I know that it alters the game hugely. I thought Lamine Yamal, as mentioned in his previous couple of games, was not quietly efficient. He was efficient in as much as he's still not scoring goals and providing assists at the rate that you maybe expect. We talked about the fact that he wasn't fit at the beginning of the tournament. He's come off the back of an injury, but he is still getting through a lot of work. He does a lot of great defensive work, and I think what he does defensively allows Porro to make those forward runs and do what he does for that second goal. The first goal comes from him just working hard to nick that ball off Luca Digne, who, it's so foolish. He comes on the blind side and he's just not checking his wing mirrors, is he? He needs to, instead of going for the swinger and being lazy, he needs to get his body between the ball and bring the ball out. You can't turn and swing. We've seen it a few times at this tournament, penalties given like that, and it's a clear one. Yamal, one successful dribble according to the stats. It feels like more. It feels like he picked up the ball and gave Digne a harder time on many more occasions, but that's what the data's telling us at least. One big chance created for Yamal, that really lovely worked chance in the second half, which would have been a brilliant team goal, but was fired wide. And I just think Spain had many others really sort of efficiently good performances. Oyarzabal never lets you down at centre forward, always works really hard, presses really well, leads from the front in terms of that defensive work. Olmo, with a big chance created, gets clattered for the Porro goal, does really, really well. As I mentioned, he's someone who's a great team player, and he's grown into the tournament as well. His numbers not quite as good as at Euro 24, as mentioned on the last episode, but still doing really, really good work. Cucurella seems to be a bit of a hate figure for many, but I'm a big fan of his because I think he works so well offensively and defensively. In this one, mostly defensive work, but always does what's required, and good in possession as well. Fabian Ruiz, of course, was a question mark as to whether he would start or Pedri. He created a couple of chances in the game. His energy is just fantastic. Him and Rodri worked in tandem brilliantly. And Rodri is starting to look like the player that won the Ballon d'Or a couple of years ago. He's had a couple of iffy seasons. Obviously, he had that bad injury almost 2 years ago now. And yeah, he's starting to look back to form. I thought he was excellent in this game and really helped control the tempo, because you can't always control the tempo of a game without the ball. But Spain do that really, really well. And if you are going to control a game, you have to learn how to do that without the ball. To go back to it, England did not control the tempo of the game without the ball. Spain do that really, really well. Finally, in terms of players, I want to touch on Aymeric Laporte. Such an interesting figure, because he didn't play. He didn't get capped for the France senior team, but he won 51 caps for their unders from under 17 to 21, and he captained every single age group. He now has 53 Spain caps, but 51 caps for the unders is huge. There was all that stuff about him not getting called up to the Euros in 2016. He said, I'll play for Spain. It's his grandparents that have the Spanish connection. He was born in France. He never played professionally in France, but I believe his parents are both French. And yeah, eventually there was this back and forth all the way up to 2021. And since then, he's won the 23 Nations League, the 24 Euros, and he might be about to win the World Cup with Spain as well. I asked my French friend, Alex Serre, friend of the show, about him, and she just sort of said, people in France don't really care because we have better defenders in Upamecano and Saliba. Maybe true. I'm not disagreeing with that. I think that's probably fair on balance. I remember Deschamps alluding to the fact that Laporte had a poor mentality at one stage. As I said, didn't play for the seniors. I believe he was called up once or twice. Yeah, I find it interesting how that switch happens, and now he could go and win it all with Spain. And yeah, I said I'll cover the Argentina Spain game tomorrow, but probably hoping Spain win that one for reasons. Yeah, that's the two semi-finals. We're getting right down to the end of it now. England do have one more game to play, fortunately or unfortunately. There is a golden boot to be won, more likely between Mbappe and Messi. But Kane and Bellingham may be able to have their say. We'll see about that. But until now, let's just drown in our own tears. Keep thinking about the sour times and how it's not coming home until 2 years' time when we host it, and it is coming home. Because that's what the song was about. Understand it, learn it, yeah. And we'll see, and we'll go from there. Until now, thanks for watching.